Hi everyone, my name is Cheyenne. If you're new, I run a small business called Beads by Chey Designs where I make fun beadwork, ribbon skirts, and I sell beading supplies. And I thought I would take you guys along on a weekend with me because most of the time you guys see my super chaotic week where I'm like bus, club, another club, airplane. And I thought it would be fun to show you guys what I guess a quote-unquote relaxing weekend looks like for me. In reality, I work 7 days a week because I have my day job Monday through Saturday, and then I do my beading stuff 7 days a week. So that just is what it is. That schedule is just what works for me. And honestly, the weekends is when I can get the most done because I work super early at my day job and then I don't work on Sundays. So yeah, let's go on a quote-unquote relaxing weekend. First up on our agenda is my beading class at Dancing Bear. I'm doing a beaded keychain class today and there's 4 people signed up, so that's really exciting. So I'm gonna go do that until about 5 and then I'm gonna go get my car washed. So that's that. It is work, yes. But I've been doing these beading classes for like 2 months now and I really like them. They're super fun. So yeah, let's go do it. Alright, so after you've got 50 on, I'm a righty, so I always put my beads in my right hand and then I hold whatever is in my left hand. So I always hold with my non-dominant and then beads with my dominant, and then to wrap them around, I just move the cord and hold down the beads with my finger. So you have one holding the bead, one wrapping, and this kind of keeps them from bunching up too much as you wrap it around.
Yeah, me too. I know, I'm like, I'm not,
Yeah.
mine's like going
If
up.
you're gonna wrap them this way, just be careful. If you're holding on too tight to the beads, they're gonna bunch up. So try to give it a little bit of give when you're wrapping it around so that they don't start to bunch up. If the beads get unhappy when you push them too quickly.
I got mine all screwed up, yeah.
So my best advice for you is to hold it this way.
Okay.
So that the thread is always coming down towards you, so then you can hold the thread with one and then you use the other hand. If you're going upwards, it's like kind of an awkward angle. I would hold it this way. And you can hold with one and poke through with the other.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, so a little bit of an update. Yesterday I went to my beading class, which was great, and then my camera died. So I only got a little bit of footage, but that's okay. And then after I went to get my car washed, then I came home and started beading and just having a pretty cozy night, made some tea. And then this morning I got up and did some planning for the week because I want to have a super productive week this week. And if you can't tell, I did just wake up like 20 minutes ago. But today's endeavor, beading with sweetgrass. So I've had this for a while and I want to make it into little braids and put it on the earrings I'm working on. But in order to make it more like workable, I need to soak it in some water. So I think I'm gonna use some hot water. I don't know, I'm just gonna get a bowl and put some water in it. Okay, so I just went and got my eyebrows done. I straightened my hair and I'm in a whole new outfit because Roman and I are going out to a nice fancy dinner later. But I thought I would do kind of a Q&A. I asked you guys on my Beads and Things Instagram group chat some questions that are beading related and non-beading related. So yeah, I'm gonna work on my current project and answer some questions. Okay, currently I'm standing. I've been doing a lot of standing at both of my desks lately. Like this one back here has been in the standing state like all week. So I'm getting my steps in and whatever, even though I haven't been wearing my watch, but it's fine. Anyway, 2 projects I'm working on before I get just chatting up. I worked on these, as you guys saw. I made some sweetgrass earrings. So I'm gonna probably glue something on those and then let those dry. Don't know if I'll be able to edge them today necessarily, but my very first time working with sweetgrass. Kind of figured out what I like, what I don't like, how to best do it. So I did it and proud of myself because I've had that sweetgrass 5 ever and I kept saying like, oh, I'm gonna do it, and then I didn't. So anyway, I'm gonna glue those and then, okay, these I fear very iconic, okay? I can't decide if I want to do a brown stem or a green stem, but look at that. I made that. Isn't that kind of iconic? So yeah, I used, these are size 9 tri-cuts, on the outside, and then these are Charlotte cut 11s on the inside. So those are so cute. These ones I think I'm gonna make dangly because I think that's just kind of the vibe we're gonna go for the pumpkins. Ooh. But yeah, let's get into all the questions. All right, so question number 1 is, how do you decide on the prices for your work? Couple different things. Hold on, I need to grab my fingernail posts to glue. Okay, I'm back. But a couple different things you wanna think about when you're pricing your beadwork is how long it took you to make, how much did all the supplies cost, and how long you've been beading, as well as like the design and all that good stuff. So, and as time has gone on, my beadwork has become more expensive. A, because I have had a lot more experience now, and B, the price of beads has gone up so much, and it's actually crazy because like, why am I spending $6 on a hank? That's crazy. Yeah, if you have a piece of beadwork, for example, that is just, you know, super basic, it doesn't have rhinestone banding, it's just like 2 or 3 rows of beads, right? That's gonna be less expensive than something that has rhinestone banding or sequins or has a crystal center as opposed to like a resin center. So I would break down the cost of all of the items that, you know, you've used in that beadwork, and then how much time it takes you to make it. So I'm really bad about this one. Roman gets really upset with me because, like, I don't know, I'm always like, oh, like this is like what, like $70, and he's like, oh my god, like you're gonna charge, that's like not enough, and I'm like, I don't know. But you know, you work hard on your pieces. It takes me, you know, anywhere from like an hour to 2 hours, upwards of 6 hours, depending on the design and how much time I have. So, you know, you definitely want to price your work what you feel it's worth, but you don't want to be pricing it like such astronomical prices, because then it'll be kind of wonky. Something I did when I first started out was I looked at Etsy and saw what other people were charging for their pieces and then kind of planned accordingly. I've been beading for 5 years and I still have trouble sometimes pricing my beadwork because in my head I'm like, I want someone to buy this because, you know, I spent time on it, it's great, and like I don't want to have it too overpriced, but also like I want my work to be, you know, loved and appreciated, and sometimes that is partially reflected in how much you charge for it. So be proud of your work though, like don't lowball prices because, you know, you don't think your work is worth anything, because it's art. At the end of the day, it's all art. I'm an artist, and the fact that other people want to buy my art is like pretty iconic. Question number 2 is, do you live on the res? If not, is it difficult to build sales? I don't live on the res. I've never lived on the res. I am not from California, but I go to all the events that are on all of my local reses here in California. So I wouldn't say it's hard for me to build sales because most of my sales come from my social media presence, whether that's people see me on TikTok and they're like, oh, that's cool, like I want to buy that, or through Instagram. You have a much larger reach through social media than you do selling in person. But I do sell at in-person markets, and I typically tend to do better at the markets that are surrounded in like native vibes, if that makes sense. So like powwows, gatherings, if I sell at those, Indian health events, just things like that, things that are more geared for native people, I typically do better at. And the markets and stuff that I've done where it's not centered around like native people, I have native people that come specifically to see me and not like other artists at the art markets that I've done. So it's definitely easier to sell to your audience if you're closer to them, especially if you sell in person. But if you have more of an online presence, then it widens your reach. So yeah, my camera's gonna die, so BRB. All right, and we're back. So my next question is, what's a good first YouTube video to start out with? And honestly, my first video, I'm pretty sure, was a tutorial. I think my first like 5 videos were tutorials. And that's like in my head what I envisioned my whole channel would be, because at that time is when I had started doing my TikTok, and I was kind of growing from people watching me doing tutorials on TikTok. So I kind of thought that was gonna be my niche. And now I've kind of grown to a point where I do still do tutorials here and there, but I've kind of done all the major tutorials, and I personally like to watch studio vlogs of other artists, whether that be sticker companies, apparel companies. I find those videos to be super fun, and I put them on in the background when I'm sitting here beading. And I noticed that there's just a lack of native artist presence on YouTube, and most of the people who do like YouTubes do it through the tribe, or they're doing like an educational video. And so I kind of wanted to see, you know, native people in this studio vlog space, and I wanted us to be represented as, you know, also in a business sense of like, you know, yeah, I'm native and I make native things and I do native things, but like this is also like my business, and this is what I do, and this is how I run my business as an Indigenous person. And I feel like that's what the youth want to see, you know what I mean? I gotta pick a green for this. I don't know if I want to do green or not. I also have like 800 greens up there, but I don't want to do a Charlotte because I already did Charlottes on here, and I just don't know if a luster is gonna be too much. So like, I'm gonna take 5 and look and see what I want to use. All right, I think I'm gonna do this dark green, not the Christmas tree. This is the dark olive. I feel like that's gonna be our best bet here because it's dark enough where like it could be black, but like it's a little transparent. So I think I'm gonna do that. Did I even answer that question? Yeah, just start off with whatever you think your content is gonna be and what you like to make. Because if you don't like to make it, you're not gonna do it, and then it's not fun. So either start off with a like, hey, this is me, this is my work, this is what I do. Or if you wanna be more educational, you can start off with just a few tutorials so people kind of get to know you. And there's not really a right or wrong way to do YouTube. You just make stuff and post it and people will watch it. But yeah, just go for it, queen. I mean, you know, get it, girl. Where and how do you get the patience and time to sit down and bead in your daily life? So I don't. I work 2 other jobs. I have a day job and then I have another part-time job on top of my business. So I guess that's 3 jobs. And there are some weeks that like during my Monday through Friday, I don't have time to sit down and do any physical beadwork. And that's not to say that like I don't have admin stuff I need to do for my business, or pay bills or do stuff like that. But the time of me physically sitting down and beading is not daily. I would love it to be. There are some weeks where I can sit down every single day and bead like 3 things and I'm like, wow, I've been so productive. And then there's weeks where I'm like, right, so I don't even have a project on my mat right now, and that's gotta change. But I love beading. Ever since I started beading like 5 years ago, I basically haven't stopped. And you know, there'll be times where after a really big launch or something, I'll be like slightly burnt out where I'm like, my fingers are hurting, I just need a bit of a break, where I'll take like, you know, a few days to a week off. Or if I'm out of town for a few days. But you gotta find how you bead best in a space that works best. Like my office used to be, or my studio used to be downstairs in my parents' dining room. And while that space worked for me for a really, really long time, and it was only like this year that I moved upstairs, but like the light, because I have 3 windows in this room compared to the 1 window I had before, and like The lighting in here is so much better. I was allowed, kind of, sort of, to poke holes in the wall and put this up, which has been like my dream. And like ever since I moved up here, I wanted to bead in a space that like made me happy. So you gotta bead in a space that you love, that inspires you to make better things, a place that you feel happy to be in, because whatever your energy is the energy you're gonna put into your beadwork, and you always wanna put positive energy into that beadwork. That is my teaching, and that's something that I remember and I carry on every day that I bead. All right, how do you film your TikToks? I use my phone. Everything I film pretty much directly on the TikTok app. I have a tripod that you guys are currently on, and then I also have this Moft tripod, and it like magnetizes to my phone, and then it can unfold in a bunch of different ways. But I film everything on there, and then I edit it all on TikTok. Yeah, I've tried to do it other ways, like filming it on my camera and then editing it in CapCut and then putting it on TikTok. I've tried, when I didn't have TikTok for a little bit after it got banned, we tried Instagram Reels, and it's not the same. And I've been editing and doing all my stuff on TikTok ever since I started TikTok. So I kind of just kept it going. So yeah, I zoom in really good so you can get all the beads. But yeah, I don't do anything fancy, unfortunately. Yeah, that's not quite my thing, and I don't know enough about cameras and stuff to like do all that fancy stuff. Pause for my pumpkin. He's got a little green stem, and now I'm going to cut it out with this fun little contraption here, and then I think I'm gonna outline the whole thing in white. So, or maybe gold, or we'll get there when we get there. What equipment do you use for filming your YouTube videos, lights, audio, etc.? So I have a Sony ZV-1 camera, and that's what I film all my videos on. And then the microphone that is on it is a Sony microphone that came with the camera, so I just use that. And then as for lights, I got lamps galore, and then I have like 2 studio lamps that I got that are on my table, and those aren't really for filming, they're really for beading, because I'm gonna go blind if I don't use lights. Nothing really that fancy. Roman is the one who suggested me to get a fancier camera, because before I was kind of just filming on my phone, and while that was like fine, the quality wasn't great and my storage on my phone was so full. But yeah, I just have basically used a bunch of lamps. I have some tabletop lights and my camera and mic. I definitely want to expand the equipment I use for filming. I definitely want to get a better camera at some point, because the lens is not wide enough on this camera and you can't get attachments for this camera. So at some point I'm going to need to invest in a fancier one, but I'm not there yet. I might trade this one in the next few months, but I mean, it's doing me good for now, so. All right, I'm sitting now, and look at how cute Mr. Pumpkin is. Oh my gosh, so cute. And because I had to redo the first one, I had to whoa, that was crazy. I had to reprint and redo this, so I just did that. But I think I have a few more questions I need to answer. What is the best way to deal with a center that protrudes further than the beads, or just something that sticks out a lot? Like if you're using a center with smaller beads, sometimes that can happen. If it's like super obvious, depending on the center, sometimes with resin centers you can kind of sand them down and make them a little bit flatter. If it's something like a crystal that you can't necessarily like sand down or anything, I would recommend using bigger beads, maybe some size 10s that will set a little bit higher up and won't make that difference so big. But it depends on like whatever specific center you're using, because sometimes centers can be manipulated and sometimes they can't. So this is off topic, but will you ever be coming to North Carolina to sell beadwork? I would love to. That, I fear, would be so iconic. But the issue then becomes how do I get my beadwork there, and getting enough time off of work to come out to, you know, North Carolina to sell. And North Carolina is just a little bit too far from California to drive. Like, I had thought about doing Gathering of Nations a while back, but at least like New Mexico we can drive and it's like not that crazy, but North Carolina is a little bit far, so I'd have to kind of plan how I would get all my stuff there. But I would love to. I would love to travel and like set up at powwows and stuff. That would be so much fun. This question's my favorite. It's, how do you have enough money to buy beads? They're insanely expensive. Whoever said I had enough money to buy them? Okay, I'm just a girl. If you girl math it, it's free, okay? Also, a majority of stuff that I make, I do end up selling, so I feel like at some point it kind of pays for itself. When I first started beading, I would buy beads like every single week, but now when I go to the store, unless I have something very specific I'm buying, I usually buy like 1 or 2 hanks, if that. So in reality, I'm really not buying that many beads, even though it looks like I have every bead on the planet, and sometimes I feel like I do, but I promise I don't spend that much money on beads. I mean, kind of, but not really. That concludes all the questions I got. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to comment them below. But that's pretty much all I had planned for this vlog. So yeah, Roman's coming later and he likes to make an appearance. So I'll let him make his appearance and then we're gonna go to dinner. So maybe I'll take you guys to dinner. But yeah, that's probably it for the exciting stuff of this vlog.
Alright everybody, it's time for me to pick out earrings for Cheyenne. Now, this is a really important job because if I get it wrong, she'll make fun of me forever. She's wearing a yellow dress. Now obviously the first choice would be to go for something yellow, but to give you an idea, there is a lot of choices. You know, I do what I don't know if any of you have seen this before, but this is all the earrings to choose from. So basically, I have my work cut out for me. My initial thought, first looking at it, are these all one thing? Never mind. I thought these were just these, but they're actually these.
Sorry.
These are a little bit too big.
You think so? All the medicine wheel colors match.
What do we think? This one.